Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is MrMegee, and I'm here with Park.
Hello.
We're doing the another assessment video because some of the teams were left out, and there were some new starting teams such as Poland. There were numerous roster changes, so we thought we'll just do a whole another video. So the teams that we have in the tournament are the Czech Republic, Germany, Hungary, France, Scandinavia, and Netherlands, Oceania, Poland, Russia, Spain, and Switzerland, the United States, and then finally the United Kingdom. So we're going to start out with the new team, which is Poland, um, mainly because that's what people have not seen yet. I mean, it was on the other video, but it has endured a serious roster change, so it's basically an entire new team. So there's starters. We've got Purpose, Vicious, Chinik, and Wrench. Honestly, all those players are really solid. Purpose is great. Vicious, everyone knows he's crazy. Chinek is a all right. Wrench, he's very good. And then they have their subs Kowe and Avatsi. I think I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Avatsi, yeah. They're very solid. There's a lot of drama going on with this team though. They're kicking players and telling people that they can't play. I don't know what's going on. If they can't get it together, I don't know how well they're going to do in the tournament, to be honest. Even if they do have a solid lineup like this.
Yeah, the big question for the Polish team is are they going to be able to work together? Having a lot of internal issues, uh, like not letting Bielishino play. He's a very good player. That could hurt them. Kind of surprised that Atsvy's not in the starting lineup. He's really been one of the top players recently. Very strong cargo team. We'll see how they're able to work together with some internal conflict
Hmm.
between the different Polish groups, and we'll see if they're able to compete in drop zone like they're going to be able to in cargo.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Purpose is great, but I would switch Avatsi for Purpose. I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because he's been kind of inactive recently, and Avatsi is really, really good. I mean, he doesn't focus objective, but he can get a really good kill feed going. He can outgun a lot of people.
SV's been getting a lot of frags in games. Again, I'm kind of surprised to see that he's not in the lineup. We'll see if maybe he gets put in, gets any play time during the matches, and see if he'll be able to really shine like he has in the Prime Drop Zone tournament and in Pugs. France, very strong lineup, experienced players. They've played a lot together. Techki is won tournament MVP for numerous tournaments. A lot of very strong players. Darwald, Patton, Takio, John. They're all very good. The question for this team could be depth. The John's been out of traveling a lot lately, and Heavy, not a bad player, not the strongest player either. If they have trouble scheduling or playing together, they might have trouble without their core lineup. But if they play with their core lineup, they're going to be a very strong team in both cargo and drop zone.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Um, I don't really have much else to say. I mean, I think the depth issue is a big thing. I think it's just going to be the starters playing. I don't know if the subs are even going to be there to sub, you know? So that could be a problem for them.
Yeah. So we'll see if they're able to make get scheduling well and get those core four players. And if John is back in his pre-travel form, then they could be a very strong team.
Yeah, I think this team might actually be one of the ones that could take the victory if they play their cards right.
Definitely a top contender.
All right, so now we have the United States, and we're gonna tag team this one since we're both on the team. So you'll do
Yes.
me, and I'll do you, and this one's mine. So I'll do most of the players, and then you'll just hit me. Hit me
Mm.
hard. All right. So the starters are Aiden, myself, Benny, and Jamols. Everyone knows who Aiden is.
Mhm.
I mean, he's been around forever, and he was rated the number one player in Battlefront. He probably still is, to be honest. He has his ups and downs, but he's still very, very solid. Benny, everyone knows him. Everyone's annoyed by him with his cycler. He's also a very solid player. J-Moles, he may be out of it, kind of, sometimes, but he's a very good support player. I'll give him that. He knows what to do to help the team out. And then we got our subs, Park and Warda. Park, he's sitting here right with me, so I can't say anything nasty, sadly. No, but I think he's a very solid player. He may not be able to outgun everybody, but he knows what to do for the team. He's got some good strategies. Same with Warda, too. I mean, he's improved a lot. So I think that overall it's a solid team. And you can go ahead and analysis me.
McGee, very good player. Honestly, this team has some of the top players in the world. One of the teams that is definitely a top contender. I think it's pretty indisputable that the American team could be the top drop zone team. Maybe Germany up with them. The question, kind of the inverse of the Polish team, is the Polish team is going to be probably one of the best cargo teams. We'll see how they do in drop zone. The American team's probably going to be one of the best drop zone teams. We'll see how they're able to pull it together for cargo.
Yeah. No, we're all very solid drop zone players. I mean, when we play American versus American teams, it's always drop zone. We never play cargo. We never really were interested in cargo. That's always how it's been. I haven't really, personally, I don't have much experience in cargo. I've played at multiple tournaments, but not nearly as much as these other guys have played. So yeah, we'll see how that works out for us.
Yeah. So the United Kingdom, Starlita, Kershaw Sky, R3, Page, very strong players, all of them. Kind of running into the same issue with that France has with depth. Paige has expressed that she doesn't really have a ton of interest in Battlefront right now. SB hasn't played in forever, and R3 has only recently gotten back into the game. Starlita's definitely one of the best players in the game, and he's currently the top rated in the drop zone rankings. If Starlita's really going off, this team is going to be one of the best teams. And if the other players show up too, but they've kind of got the same issue as France with depth. A lot of players being gone for a while or not having a ton of interest in playing. If they're going to be able to contend with those top nations, we'll have to see.
I agree. And I think another issue is going to be communication with this team, because I know Paige doesn't really use her mic. Starlita doesn't really use his mic. I don't know about R3 or Crusher, but I mean, with two guys down on your team not using a mic, that's bad. And all the other teams we've seen so far, a lot of them use their mics. They've been playing together for a while. They know each other. But this team, I don't really think they have that connection with each other.
It's definitely a drawback. Starlita may very well be one of the best players in the game, but not having a mic or not using a mic much definitely hurts him.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it much more challenging, especially in cargo, where communication is even more key than drop zone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. It's a very team-based game mode. So we got Russia, Switzerland, and Spain all in one. We got the whole thing going on here.
Just a giant hodgepodge of countries.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got our team leader, Igor. Then we have Dark Alyssa. I believe I'm saying that right. Aleko,
Yeah, I think so.
and Apollo. That's their starting team. We have 2 Russians and 2 Spanish people. Spaniards, I guess you. I don't know.
Spaniards, yeah.
I'm sorry. So Igor, I mean, he's pretty solid actually. I mean, he's improved a lot since his Jedi days. He's gotten my respect. I don't know anything really about Dark Alyssa. I've played with them maybe a couple times. They're okay. They're not the best player. They're not the worst player. And the same thing with Apollo. He's solid. He's got the skill there. I just don't know if he has the teamwork. Leko, I've played with him for about a year on 2SC/TSC. I mean, he's very solid, and if he can get it together, I mean, he'll really be a driving force for this team. And we got this 2 subs. Plazak and Negerio. I believe I'm saying that name right.
Hmm.
Both of them, again, they're not the best players. They're not the worst players. This team, I think, might be having it might have a little trouble beating the other teams. To be honest with you, just because they don't have the strongest players here compared to the other teams.
They're certainly not the best team. They're also certainly not the worst team. They've got a reasonable lineup. I could definitely see them playing at a higher level than expected, but at the same time, I could also see them playing at a worse level than expected without if they don't have strong communication. Well, it's a team with a lot of unknowns. Not really a team that's played together much. If they're able to come together and play well together, then they could be not a contender for a top spot, but they could definitely pull off an upset against one of the stronger teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think getting scrims together for a lot of these teams is going to really help them in the
Hmm.
tournament.
Okay, so next up is the Oceanic team, mainly Australian, one New Zealander. Uh, this is a team with a lot of unknowns, a lot of mysteries. We've only really seen Raven with a experienced tournament play. The rest of the players haven't really played in tournaments before, haven't really played on European servers much. We know that Raven is a very strong player, one of the higher skilled players. Don't really know what to expect from the rest of the players here. The big advantage they're going to have is the Australian host, and if they're able to capitalize on that, I could see them pulling off an upset against a stronger team on host alone.
Yeah, I agree, and that's something that we didn't even consider about the American team as well. They have host advantage, at least for one of the games. They're going to be able to
Hmm.
host on their host, and I think that both of these teams, at least actually for at least Raven. I mean, he actually I don't know. I actually don't know much about Raven, but I know that they are very solid even on like 200 plus ping. So I can only imagine them on their own host. I don't know much about these other guys. I've seen them maybe once or twice in a game. They've never really been too competitive. So we'll see how this works out for them. But yeah, I agree. The host is going to be a major determining factor for them. So I guess we should move on to the next team, which we have uh, Netherlands, right? Netherlands and what else is in there?
And
And
Scandinavia.
Scandinavia. I always forget that.
Yes.
Sorry, so we have a very strong team, I think, here. We have Howdy, Braminator, Demonic slash Trickster, Bot Trickster, Jurgensen. I don't really know too much about Jurgensen, but the other three I know quite a bit about. So Howdy, everybody knows who Howdy is. I mean, he was on the Power Rangers for a while. He's overall one of the best players in the game. Same with Braminator. I mean, he's been playing for a while. He's also on the Power Rangers team. He's he's always been a solid player. He's improved a lot since his days in PCF. Demonic, I'm not sure how long he's been around, but he's a mediocre player. I mean, he's not bad. He's not great, but he's definitely someone there. For instance, like Jamos, who's there to support the team. Jurgensen, like I said, I don't really know much about him, but I'm assuming if he's on their starting lineup, he's probably pretty solid. Their first two subs, again, they're quite mysteries. Thomas 002. I mean, I don't know anything about these guys. They're probably people who they just had to scrap together. I'm guessing people that they maybe found in even a public lobby because
Hmm.
I've never seen these people pug before.
I believe they're Jedi players, both of the subs.
Okay, so they may be pretty solid players. I mean, they probably have a good understanding of the game, just maybe not competitive play.
Mm. This is yet another team that's looking at some depth issues. Got two of the best players in the game with Howdy and Bram. Demonic is a solid player, and a lot of unknowns from the rest of the team. Uh, Trout or Matrix, or whatever you want to call him, hanging up his video games is definitely going to be a challenge for this team. Playing without him, he's one of the best players in the game. Before they looked like one of the strongest teams. They've kind of sunk into the mid range now that they've lost Trout. We'll see how they're able to play without that key factor.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that actually. Losing Trout is a huge thing for this team because Trout was very solid. He was a very good player. But yeah, now they probably switched out Trout for Jurgensen, and I can only imagine that that's a pretty big skill difference. I mean, I'm not saying anything about Jurgensen, but Trout was very good.
Yeah, it's not a knock on Jurgensen. It's just the fact that Trout was one of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
So moving on to the Hungarian team. This is really a team that is built around Atia. I mean, none of their players are bad, but Atia is the only player that really stands out as a great player. This team is they have a good amount of experience playing together actually from the natural winners lineup.
Mm-hmm.
The Hungarians are a team that have played together a reasonable amount. They're all going to be speaking the same language and have experience playing together. So they could pull off an upset. They're not the best team, but they've got a reasonable lineup.
Yeah, and I think since the since the dawn of time, at least for Battlefront standards, Atia's been carrying his team alone. Like he is used to doing this. Nawe, no offense to the other Nawe guys, but Atia was always the best on Nawe, and he would always carry them in every game, and they did well in most tournaments they were in. It was really impressive, and I'm guessing it's gonna be pretty similar for this tournament as well. He's gonna really carry the team hard.
This team will live or die by Atia.
Exactly.
Everything hinges on how he plays.
Yeah. So I guess we can move on to Germany now, and this team is. I'm just gonna go outright and say it. They might be the best team in this league. I personally think
they definitely might be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either them. It's either them or United States, I think, in my opinion. And that sounds biased, me being on United States, but I mean, I'm being honest here. They have Johnny, Soap, Rowdy, and Jordan. Johnny, extremely solid drop zone player. Soap is just he's just all around. He's just a great player. Same with Rowdy. Rowdy, he's been known to pull out some outstanding games. Both cargo, he's got a lot of experience in cargo and in drop zone. Jordan, Jordan is, I think he's pretty underrated in my opinion. He's a very solid player as well. And then they have Daco and Okanitis. I mean, there's not a bad player on their team. That's like, I mean, there's not really a bad player on any of these teams, but these are all great players. None of these players I can say anything bad about. Daco is a great player. He's always been a great player. Same with Okanitis. I mean, this team has got a great chance in this league.
Yeah, the German team is really good, and the thing that kind of differentiates them from like the Polish squad or the American squad or any of these other like really top teams is just there's so much depth on this team. All these players are some of the best players in the entire game. And even if they have to take subs from their own squad, they're still going to be one of the best teams.
Exactly.
They're going to be able to complete in drop zone and in cargo without a ton of issue. It's an incredible lineup.
It really is.
If there's any team that's the top team going into this, I think it's probably Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. Their players have experience in both cargo and drop zone, which makes them a very good team for this league.
Okay, so last but not least is the Czech Republic. This is another team, kind of like Hungary, that's we're not really sure what to expect, but it's kind of built around Philly in this case. I don't really know too much about these other Czech players, but as far as I know, a lot of them were good players in their time, haven't played for a while, don't really know what to expect from them coming back for this tournament. So some really solid players with Pug and Key and Thurn, but how they're going to be able to play nowadays in a modern setting after having not really been around the game or been too active in the game for a while, we'll have to see.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know a lot of these players pretty well. I hosted a tournament over 2 years ago. It was over 2 years ago, and that's when I last saw some of these players, like Philly, John Stalker, Starlamore. I hadn't seen them in like almost 2 years since that last tournament they played in. They played in as the Czech Lions. And they were a solid team. They were a solid team, and I think that they actually do have a chance if those players can get back into the game. When this tournament starts, they can come back as their former selves. I think that they have a solid chance. Maybe not even at winning, but getting a high position in the tournament.
Yeah, if these teams are, or if these players are playing at their peak potential of back when they were, really into the game, then they're definitely going to be one of the better teams in the tournament. If they're not at their peak, they might struggle and they might have some trouble in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those teams that don't really know what to expect. Could come out as one of the higher rated teams and could also come out as one of the lower rated teams. We'll have to see.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect. That's the thing. So I think that's the last team. We're just going to give a brief overview of what we've talked about. So with Poland, I mean, it's a solid team, but they've got some internal issues they got to work out. They're not letting people play. They're kicking people. It's a whole mess. It really is. And a lot of people don't like that team either because of what they have done, just a couple weeks ago that we found out about. I mean, with France, they have some really, really solid players, but they have depth issues. If they have scheduling issues, that might be it. They might not be able to play at all. And United States, we think they might be one of the most solid teams on this list. But certainly, even they could run into issues with teams like Germany. I think the United Kingdom, again, solid players, but they have issues with communication, potential lineup issues, things like that. So that could prove to be a huge deficit for them. Russia, again, not the strongest team, but I think that they might be able to pull a couple wins through. This is actually Russia. It's Russia, Spain. They've got they've got like 3 countries included in this team because they didn't really have enough players really. And then we have Oceania with Australia and New Zealand. Again, I mean, you said this is basically just a mystery team. We know Raven, and that's about it. We don't know what to expect from this team. So that could be an interesting. That's going to be an interesting game, I think, for me to play on Australian host against players I've never played against before. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I think they actually might be able to pull off some wins because no one knows what to expect. And then we have Scandinavia and Netherlands with Howdy, Braminator, Dynamic, and Jurgensen. I mean, they're all solid players. They probably won't have too many issues. I think that all those players are going to be there for the games. They're going to have good communication. Maybe not Howdy communication-wise, but I think they have a good chance as well. And then we have Hungary with Attia. I mean, Attia's going to have to. He's the best player on the team. He's probably going to have to carry them a bit. All of them are solid. It's just Attia's leaps better. Germany, again, all of these players are just outstanding. So I think every team is going to have difficulty against them in both modes. And finally, the Czech Republic. We don't know what to expect, really. I mean, Philly and Pug, Kia, Thurn, they're all good players, or they were at some point. So I really hope they can get back into fighting shape. I think that about wraps it up for this video. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. The tournament starts on the 10th. We got a lot of fun stuff planned for this tournament, so I hope that you all enjoy it.